All right, hello and welcome everyone. Before we get into today's video, taking a look at the evolution of Warframe and this channel alongside it, this video is sponsored by DE as part of their 10th anniversary celebration for the game. Thank you very much to DE for sponsoring. Now, let's jump in. Starting with a little bit about why we're even here. 10 years ago, Warframe hit Steam, and I was immediately engrossed in it. So much so that before I started doing Warframe content on this channel, I was already MR14 and basically waiting for new content. This, alongside seeing some other videos on the game that I considered to be wrong, caused me to decide that my endgame for Warframe would not be Fashion Frame, which I wouldn't be decent at for many years, but instead would be content creation. With this came the journey of growing alongside the game, and it was very, very different back then. The movement system, which included stamina.
If I were to wall run here, I can get this high, just barely over the orange line. However, if I needed to go much higher, I could kick up and then stick to the wall, get far more height.
The meta being entirely unrecognizable.
It's pretty good until until enemies are like level 35 plus. I'd say that it's a pretty good power. It will kill like trash enemy mobs very easily, especially Corpus because of the cold type damage.
I mean, look at what the simulacrum looked like at the time. How many of you have ever even seen this?
But you can see the damage of these enemies. I'm attempting not to use powers as much as I possibly can. And I actually have more health than it might appear like I do.
That formative era was not only formative for Warframe, but also for this channel. It was the time of trying kind of everything and seeing what worked. And out of it, I got the Why Would You Use format, of course, my full roster reviews, and I think most importantly, the free-to-play throughs, which still, I think, help give me perspective on the new player experience today and a more realistic look at what the game is like to start. Because it's easy to lose sight of what the game really is at the beginning whenever you're over 10,000 hours into this game. That era of the game, honestly, could have taken it almost anywhere, but where we eventually ended up is a path that would make Warframe one of the most stealthily popular games around. The Second Dream. Hey there, real quick, this is editing Zyme. I'm about to spoil the oldest, but also like one of like the biggest spoilers for the game of Warframe. So if you're a new player that like just joined for Duviri, you're probably going to want to like play a lot more of the game and then come back to this one.
Oh no, what? No. Hold on, for real? Actually? Get the f*** out! Actually leave this place! What? How the f*** was this not found out about, like, before? How is this a thing? How did this become real, actually happen?
As much as I love the base combat of Warframe, and how much it has improved over these 10 years, The Second Dream for me really represents the huge risk Warframe has always taken, and why I think DE has been able to keep it so interesting all this time. Really, no other game has been willing to put down what it is doing successfully, like Warframe's combat loop and just everything that goes into the combat, and branch off in an entirely different direction. Cinematic quests.
I don't need it anymore.
Arcwing. The open worlds.
The air and water flowing hard, the land we call our home. Push to keep the dark from coming. Feel the weight of what we owe. This, the song of sons and daughters. Hide the heart of who we are. Making peace to build a future. Strong, united, working till we fall. The air and water flow.
Sequester that railjack for Pavo. Sisters below, below, we're going where the winds don't blow. Yes, we're all bound down to the deep, and we'll all be.
And of course, recently, Duviri, are all so different from what Warframe was and from each other, it's hard to believe they all coexist in the same game until it's happening. That is, of course, not to say that everything has been perfect, and my channel history certainly reflects that. Okay, so you need to do Steel Path in order to get the items for your primaries and secondaries to do Steel Path. They released content where if too many people are doing it, you are no longer allowed to play it. Those problems, though, also represent an important point, that DE tends to listen to feedback on the game and improve it. It wasn't so long ago we were in what I'd describe as the dark age of Warframe with the initial release of Railjack, but since then, Railjack itself has had a complete rework and is in an excellent place, and our recent updates have honestly been pretty crazy. New War, a great almost 5-hour story quest for most players, Angels of the Zaramon being arguably the most important and best structural content to the game in kind of 5 years, Duviri being somehow both a significant story quest and a hugely different permanent game experience for both experienced players and brand new players to the game. These big tentpoles I mentioned aren't even the long story of the game. There's a huge list of things that people might not even know were different depending on when you started, with fusion cores eventually becoming Endo, void keys turning into the relic system, alerts becoming the Nightwave. Melee has been reworked like 3 different times. Self-damage used to be a whole different story. The amount of game modes that we have now, and some game modes that we don't have anymore. Crossplay, a recent addition to the game, and soon to be cross-save. These changes are significant and truly show how much Warframe has evolved over its life so far. On top of that, Warframe has put on some of the most fun in-person events I've been to with TennoCon, which thankfully is returning to in-person this year. Admittedly, being a content creator and getting to meet devs and viewers in person is a unique personal part of that.
There's press, so many people here, many of which I've seen for 3 years in a row. Thank you so much for coming to the chaos that is TennoCon. It's going to be an awesome day.
But even when the event was online only, the events have always shown us the next big thing to a roar of excitement from the community. This year, the team is a little different, and the expectations too, with the changing of the old guard and a complete mystery for what we're doing next for Warframe. Regardless to what comes with TennoCon though, I think the current evolution of Warframe is the best the game has ever been, and I'm as excited as ever for where it goes and continuing to be a part of this community. Happy 10 years of Warframe, Tenno. I'm looking forward to 10 more.